Hello and welcome to the Tyler and Josh Show, the Josh and Tyler Show. Today we're talking about underrated side characters. Comedic cut characters in comedies that are funny but are either cameos, are a supporting role but make us laugh hysterically. Tyler, how easy was it for you to make this list?
You know what? It was easy to narrow down my top six. It was hard to describe what makes them funny or what makes them great characters until I realized that the ones I conveniently picked all seem to have very similar characteristics or similar roles to the main character in the overall plot, which I just sat there and I'm like, oh shit, how the fuck did I not notice this before?
We never dived this deep in dissecting it before.
It's been at least a year since I've dissected any comedy. I can't even remember the last time I saw a new comedy. That's how sad and pathetic it's gotten.
I watched Monster Hunter last night.
Monster Hunt. Wait, is that Mila Jovovich?
Yeah, it was highly entertaining, but I make it as a joke as it's a comedy because there's literally zero plot development. They're like, you know what you want? Battling giant monsters for 2 hours. You know what they gave me? Battling giant monsters for 2 hours. They barely spoke, and I'm like, I couldn't be happier.
Okay, well, the way you describe it,
Oh, it's not good, but it does have cool
I know.
monster fights.
Paul W.S. Anderson. I know it's not good.
I mean, the guy made Resident Evil, so I can't blame him too much. I like those things.
He also made Three Musketeers.
You have me there. But yeah.
I had to watch that in drama class when there was a substitute teacher, and like, I don't think a single classmate found it even slightly entertaining.
Depends on the version of the Three Musketeers, 100%. Because there's good versions and there's bad versions and there's cartoon versions and they're everywhere. But what's the last comedy you remember watching? I'm just very curious.
Like recent or any comedy?
Any comedy you watched, like what's the last one you put on and said, "Oh, I'm gonna watch this"? Or maybe it was on TMC, you know?
On Splice they keep rerunning Retired Extremely Dangerous with Bruce Willis. That's actually a must watch at our house because it is one of our all-time favorite guilty pleasures. I love Red and Red 2, even though I didn't like it the first time when I saw it in theaters. It's the more you watch it on TV, the more you realize it was just destined to be a TV movie. So on that end, it's perfectly enjoyable. And honestly, one of the side characters from Red is on my list anyway, so it all works out.
Well, I mean, the last time I watched Red was when it came out. I rented it on video, and I watched it back to back with Tangled, and I liked Red more than Tangled. Very odd double feature. I thought Red was really fun. I'm like, I didn't
Oh, it is.
heavy into it. I'm like, this is cool. I like it. And Helen Mirren is just great in that. Yeah, the last comedy I watched last night, I did a double. I watched both Jumanjis with my wife because we like Jumanji. The new ones. I'm not a big fan of the Robin Williams one. I've seen it. It's okay. I like the new ones because they're fun, and I like The Rock and Jack Black and Kevin Hart, and even Nick Jonas is really good in the first one. And then like Nigel, whatever, the guy who's giving them, the NPC, like it's very charming, very comedic, regardless of. And I like that there's different types of humor. There's smart humor, there's silly humor, there's the gag humor with the breakdown dancing or like the weird apple tree they have to get to in the next level. But then you also have the really smart quippy back and forth with like the Kevin Hart and the Jack Black. And then you have the awkward romantic humor with it's just it has all the types of humor, and I appreciate that. Maybe one of the best, most complete comedies of the last 5 years. But
It's
yeah.
it's somewhere near there. Like I wasn't gonna watch Jumanji when I heard about it because I just sat there and I'm like, these trailers are doing absolutely nothing for me. It seems like video game movies at its most lazy. And then one day during like a snowstorm, my family sat down for it because we had absolutely nothing better to do, and we gave it a shot. And it's just like, you know what? I'm actually enjoying this. The action scenes are good because you can actually see them. It was from
Mhm.
Shane Kasdan, so he's learned a fair bit of filmmaking from his dad. it's very rare that I can safely say I laughed at Kevin Hart because I really don't find his humor all that funny. But you know what? In the Jumanji movies, he works, especially in the next level where because it's Danny Glover taking over his body, and Danny Glover is it's a quiet kind of comedy. Like it's something different for Hart, and it's a nice change of pace. Like when DeVito's in Johnson's body, it's just like, wow, I haven't looked like this since never. You've never looked like this before. My eyes are a different color. All of you is a different color.
Oh, that's just. I really like the Jumanjis, but I watched those last night because I'm like, you know what? The first one came, and I'm like, why don't we just watch them both? I enjoy them. They make me happy, and right now, why not?
They're practically the same too.
Oh yeah, but I don't care. I mean, you could make 7 of these things, and I'd still enjoy them all. It's just what it is. I like all 7 Police Academy movies until they get to like 8. I will watch them. I have no shame in this. I think they're, they are what they are. I like them.
Yeah. That's fair.
So, honorable mentions. You got any of those on your list today, Tyler?
I honestly don't, just because the more I think of honorable mentions, the more I want to change my list because there are a lot of funnier people out there than we instantly think of, mainly because this past year at 24/7, we've been beaten over the head with nothing but misery.
Yeah. So, this is a change from last week. There was a few on my list. Most recently, Dennis, who played the robot in Bill and Ted 3, Face the Music. His whole shtick is, my name is Dennis, and oops, I killed you with a laser. I don't know why, but it just makes me laugh. Hello, my name is Dennis McCarthy. We get it, Dennis. We get it, Dennis. It's just... And then when he looks at death, and he's like, I thought it was really cool when you said let's rock, and he's like, and Death just shakes his head. It's just really small moments. I will give it to LeBron James from Trainwreck. I really like Trainwreck with Amy Schumer and Bill Hader, and LeBron James is surprisingly funny in it, having these conversations with Bill Hader for the 2 or 3 scenes he gets to discuss over dinner or hang out by a basketball court as he's surprisingly funny. I would not expect LeBron James, of all people, to be the person who's like, that guy's funny, but he works really well in this movie, whether you like Amy Schumer or not, because Bill Hader is hilarious in this movie. Bill Hader is the reason you watch it. I will say Rick Moranis from Ghostbusters. He does not have a lot to do in the first Ghostbusters, but just that one line in the hallway where he's trying to invite Sigourney Weaver over for like their vegan buffet and insurance salesman, that is funny. That makes me laugh. That is the moment of Ghostbusters I'm like, yeah, that's... Josephine Hull, who plays one of the aunts from Arsenic and Old Lace, a 1944 Frank Capra movie, where 2 old ladies, literally just anyone who comes to collect money or rent insurance just kills them and buries them in the basement, is surprisingly funny and charming. It's directed by Frank Capra. It stars Jimmy Stewart, and his aunts just bury people in the basement. It's delightful. If you have not seen Arsenic and Old Lace, watch Arsenic and Old Lace. I was going to go with an honorable mention for something for The Trouble with Harry, for the Hitchcock one where they hide the body, but this one's better. Trust me. Arsenic and Old Lace is phenomenal.
Yeah, and you know what? I do have one honorable mention now that I think about it. As I was coming down here to do the show, I was looking for my posters where it's just like, okay, I have to have a comedy poster here that'll give me some inspiration in some regard. And then I look over at my Deadpool 2 poster, and I'm like, oh yeah, Dopender.
Yes.
It's just hilarious. Like, he's only in 2 scenes for the first movie, and it's a very simplistic not really an arc, if you can call it that. Like, he's competing for his cousin's affection, but his other cousin beat him first, so he kidnaps him. And the second movie, they say that he killed him. I'm not entirely sure how, but honestly, how much he wants to be a contract killer, I don't even want to know.
I mean, I would say that anyone in the Deadpool 2 is a great supporting character who's on that team, especially the invisible Matt Damon guy. Or whoever.
Matt Damon was one of the baby wipe rednecks.
Oh, well, whoever that was really funny.
Either way. But yeah, you're right. Like one of the things Deadpool 2 got better than the first one was having more comedic side characters. As he beats as Domino, she was just great. Had a ton of fun with her. You get Blind Al back, and you know what? My honorable mention is like everyone from Deadpool 2, because honestly, they all compete with each other at the exact same
The best parts of Deadpool 2 were the side characters. I will also give it to Russell Brand from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. He did not have a lot of screen time, but everything he did when he was like having sex with the sandcastles to demonstrate to like the virgin guy, that's a funny scene. Or when he's surfing with the... I really like Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
I've only seen Get Him to the Greek, which is technically grosser than what you just described, but that just...
So, this is generally Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
I know what it's about.
And there's this side character of this couple who's never had sex before, and they don't know how to do it, so this random awkward side character has to ask Russell Brand between the movie, and they like simulate grinding sandcastles, and like he's surfing and he's like, and Russell Brand's like, I hope there's no hard feelings to like Jason Segel, and he's like, well, there's lots of hard feelings. He's like, why? And it's just like this obliviousness that makes it very, very funny.
Other than the fact that he's teaching somebody to penetrate sand.
Yes, that's pretty funny.
You didn't even get the reference I just said, did you?
Yeah, I know what he's doing, but yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying it out, because after I accidentally reviewed Cats on our improv show, I've suddenly got an urge for R-rated sex puns.
Fair enough. But I mean, even the scene where each couple is trying to outdo each other in either room, yeah, Russell Brand and Kirsten, whatever her name is from The Good Place, my brain's place. And then they're just trying to outdo each other, and Russell Brand's noises are like, what are we doing? And she's like, no, just you gotta pretend that you're into it, right? And he's just like, what do you mean pretend that we're into it? And he's like, no, they're having sex on the other side of the wall, we want to be louder. He's like, oh, I can be loud. It's just... And I will put out there the three lackeys from Musketeers. Anything where the Rich brothers are supporting characters, a very funny, musical, quirky comedians, very similar to the Marx Brothers from the 1930s. If you can find the movies, good luck. I've been searching for they made 8 films. I've been able to find one, and I paid $60 for it. So it's incredibly hard to find, but very funny and nostalgic for my childhood. And Bert Coach from the Pink Panther series, who plays Kato, is very funny. He is a side character. He's either smashing TVs or attacking Clouseau or hiding in a freezer and then getting knocked out. I think he's really funny. He does get a chance to shine in Revenge of the Pink Panther, where they all are trying to break into the building and fall into the cake shop, and he gets cupcakes on his eyes. That's a delightful moment from Revenge. But those are my honorable mentions. I had a few because I like comedy. Oh, and I don't know if this is on your list. Neil Patrick Harris from White Castle.
I don't actually follow Harold and Kumar, so I don't.
So in Harold and Kumar, my wife loves these movies, and I think they're pretty good. But what they do is Neil Patrick Harris basically shows up as like an older version of Dougie Hauser, an extreme version on all the drugs and alcohol, steals their car, does something completely nonsensical, and then helps them save the day at the end of it. And it is really, really funny. Harold and Kumar itself are typical stoner comedy, but just Neil Patrick Harris singing a song, taking their car, having strippers in their car, and being like, guys, you have to come back later. It's just so ridiculous. Yeah, I didn't know if that one would be on your list, because that for a lot of people, that one's a lot of people's favorite comedy side character.
No, I've only seen like select clips of Harold and Kumar, like in YouTube compilations, and of course Patrick Harris shows up where it's just like, hey dude, I did an appendectomy when I was 12. I think I can handle a couple mushrooms. Dude, wasn't that a fictional show? Oh my god, you see that unicorn? Its horn was so shiny.
Yeah, but picture Neil Patrick Harris dialed up to 1,000. Oh, and oh my goodness, I almost forgot one here. My list is long. Jason Bateman from Booksmart. He plays the principal. Oh, Sudeikis. Yeah, he plays the principal. And they try to break in on the last day of school, and he's like, no, go home. Next year people will handle it. The school year is done. And then And then he's like their Uber driver later on, and it's really awkward. And he's writing a novel, and it's just like he has two scenes, but it's very very funny.
Yeah.
So anyway, number 6. Let's just jump right into it. What do you got?
Okay, so my number 6 is the annoying comedic member of my list because I've actually branched it into very
Oh.
specific categories. Like my number 6 is annoying, my number 5 is stupid, number 4 is
Yeah.
fucking crazy, 3 is raunchy, 2 is sarcastic, and number 1 is just flat out angry. I like to space these out a little bit, even though they technically have very similar qualities. But for my annoying comedic sidekick, there are so many comedies that are filled to death with characters rambling about themselves, while in the opposite shot, there's a person just awkwardly sitting there in silence, waiting for them to finish so they can either change the conversation or just get the hell out. And that situation has gotten really old in comedies for me, and it's probably the reason I haven't watched that many since. But
Give me an example of it with this, because my brain is not thinking this way.
well, I mean, pick any Judd Apatow movie, and there are scenes instantly like that. Hell, I mean, Bridesmaids is on my list, and as I say that, you probably know which character I'm talking about. But when it comes to characters who don't lose their touch, no matter how annoying or how long they talk for, Rebel Wilson as Fat Amy in Pitch Perfect
Oh,
never gets me. I fucking love Rebel Wilson in this movie. She's the reason I sit down every time it's on TV because she is the major highlight of the movie. I love the fact that the whole joke about her being Fat Amy is so sweet bitches like you don't do it behind my back. And the first time I heard that, it reminded me of something that Alex Bornstein, the lady who played Lois on Family Guy, when she was being interviewed once about her childhood and how she discovered comedy growing up, she talked about how growing up in high school, she was just like, if I make fun of how fat I am first, then no one else will. And that was kind of how she dealt with that sort of. So I instantly like really clicked with that, even though it's just one line. And it also made me realize the movie doesn't actually dwell that much on her weight when she's like the major highlight. They obviously have the mermaid dancing bit or the horizontal running when it's just like, yeah, no, don't put me down for cardio. But her main shtick is that she takes a very simple situation and just completely blows it out of proportion in a funny way. Like when she's supposed to fill the gas in the tour bus, but there's a drive-by and the troublemakers like hit her with a meatball sandwich. She just like goes full on Willem Dafoe and Platoon is like, I just been shot. I'm gonna finish him like a cheesecake. And he's so shell shocked she forgot to fill the fucking gas. It's just like, excuse me, I can't believe it either. But at the same time, I was hit by a drive-by. Or one of my other favorite examples is like when they're all like confessing their secrets. Cynthia Rose steps up and it's just like, man, we all know where this is going. Let's be honest. Because that whole time she like instantly saw her as a lesbian. It's just like, I have a huge gambling problem. What? And so like instantly you think case is closed on that. But then she goes, it all started when I broke up with my girlfriend. Whoop, there it is. There's now an ex-girlfriend who just goes, like that stare down was priceless. I remember seeing it in theaters and everyone just lost their minds when that happened. They lost their minds more than like the amount of times that one girl kept throwing up. And like
yeah, I forgot about that.
that bit
Yeah, I don't like throw up gags. I really don't. That's my one biggest problem with Family Guy throw up gags. But
here's the thing. Like the first time when I did see it in theaters and that vomit bit happened, everyone just like started belting how much they thought it was funny because I mean it comes out of nowhere and it's the only reason that joke still works. But tying into like Fat Amy taking everything and exaggerating, once you learn about her past in the third movie, even though it has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the film, let alone with the rest of the franchise, the fact that she grows up with international crime lord John Lithgow, it would certainly explain why she expects something dangerous to come out of just about anything. So even though it really makes no sense and it weighs the movie down, it does technically fit in with her character arc. And it also proves that Rebel Wilson could have been in Spy instead of Melissa McCarthy because she's gonna kick ass in that bit.
I would prefer that. I like Spy, but I think it could be funnier with Rebel Wilson.
I don't know. I like Melissa McCarthy in that. Plus, Jason Statham.
Oh, Jason Statham. Do not replace that man. He's perfect. He's perfect.
That should be an honorable mention because he's in it just to make his own Chuck Norris lines and then completely suck at his job. It was just Jason Statham in Spy is another honorable mention.
I do enjoy him in Spy. That's why I watch Spy. I like this pick. I like Rebel Wilson as Fat Amy here. Not only can she sing, but she's very funny, and I think her dynamic with the character Lily, who doesn't speak, is probably some of the best scenes of the movies. And like Rebel Wilson translates a couple times, and that's really funny. And then in Pitch Perfect 2, her at boot camp when she's trying to do all the exercises, I think that's really, really great. And then you mentioned as number 3, I like that John Lithgow is her international spy dad, because that makes sense. I like that they gave her the chance to shine as like sort of a subplot there. It's just great. I like this pick.
Yeah, absolutely. The second one did kind of lose me a little bit with her because such a bitch to Haley Steinfeld, for whatever reason, just felt so jarring and didn't make any real sense.
Well, I mean, the first one's the best, but 2 and 3 are really, really fun, for sure. But
to be honest, the first one's the only one I think is actually good. I'll sit through the second one because it has good moments, like Amy busting out to Pat Benatar trying to serenade the bumper. I have a feeling, Amy, that we should kiss. Is that a good feeling or a bad feeling? Well, I sometimes think I can do crystal meth, but then I think, that enough.
Oh my goodness, I like the character of Bumper in the franchise. He's really great.
Another honorable mention because Adam Devine is just fucking.
Well, there's a lot of characters in here. My number 6 is gonna go way back to possibly my favorite musical of all time, maybe my second favorite. I love Singing in the Rain. Our leads, Debbie Reynolds and Gene Kelly, are phenomenal. But I think the character that doesn't get enough love, and one character I love in pretty much every single movie, Donald O'Connor. This man is funny. He's slapstick. He's quirky. When he's pulling down the curtain at the end of the movie, he's walking around in this funny comedic walk that just gets me every time. And that moment shouldn't get me. That should be a big reveal, but he's funny in it when he's But the number one thing that says, you know what, this man is super underrated, make him laugh. When he does the make him laugh.
I was just about to ask if that was the guy, because as soon as you said that, I was just like, oh, please be the make him laugh guy.
But I mean, this guy is funny. We get this movie, and I like Gene Kelly in this, and I like Debbie Reynolds, and it's a very fun, romantic movie, and You Were Meant for Me is a nice song. We get the iconic moments of Singing in the Rain, and we get Good Morning. But you know the highlight of Good Morning is when Donald O'Connor takes little bits and moments. When they say good morning, he's like, good morning! And he's just doing different voices and imitating different things. Being a silly person, that is the highlight of Good Morning. Flipping backwards over the couch. He makes it look funny when he waggles his legs. When he's dancing on a plank, when he's getting hit with things. My mother said, and he's doing the little piano thing, and he's doing the quirky bit with his nose, just absolutely brilliant. This is funny stuff. If you made a whole movie with this guy, I would watch it. Like, he reminds me of the potential of what Danny Kaye could have done with the Inspector General or the original Secret Life of Walter Mitty or anything that you put Danny Kaye in if you let him just be full reign silly. He could have been huge, but he gets this small side role, and this side role here is probably highlights his talents best, is him jumping off a couch, singing, make him laugh. I love his performance in this movie, the way he moves the curtain. I think his facial reactions to when Lana is speaking into the microphone, but she keeps turning her head or moving it, or it's rustling, is like he was the original facepalmer. When people go facepalm, he did this in Singing in the Rain in '52, and it was freaking funny. This man, without him in this movie, I don't think it would be as charming, because you need that. To do that. I think this would just be like, oh, that's a really nice old musical with that one song people like. I think Donald O'Connor elevates this as Cosmo. I love Singing in the Rain. I love Donald O'Connor.
That's totally fair, and like the amount of work ethic he has, dude had more energy than half the stars we have now.
Oh, 100%.
Before I took my sister to see La La Land, I showed her the Make Him Laugh clip, and when did like the 3 flips off of the wall, I also just looked at her and went, dude also smoked like a couple cartons a day.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. But I like this pick. So far, our list is good. I like that we got. I did not think Pitch Perfect. Thank you for putting it on this list. I love Pitch Perfect. That first movie makes a great double feature with anything, really, because it's great. What do you have coming in at number 5?
At number 5, I actually have my raunchy choice. Because that's also another hard sell, because it used to be like ridiculously good and clever to be raunchy, at least when I was growing up and watching comedies, and now it feels so simple and straightforward. But I think this one lady really pulled it off to the point where she got her first Oscar nomination for a Judd Apatow classic, and that is McCarthy as Megan in Bridesmaids. Because really, nobody thinks about Bridesmaids without thinking about Melissa McCarthy first, and then Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph, and a couple others who are incredibly talented too. But one thing that Megan and my next choice on this list have in common is that when they're introduced and throughout the majority of the movie, the only thing that the characters and us as the audience can see are their more negative qualities that make them seem a little stupid or repulsive. And in Megan's case, the fact that she's so casually upfront about her personal tastes and how she feels about each given person. Like, there are 2 lines that really stick out in particular, like when Kristen Wiig is introduced to her at the engagement party, and she thinks that she meets Kristen Wiig's boyfriend. It's just like, oh no, we're just standing together, that's it. And McCarthy just goes, I'm glad he's single, I'm gonna climb that like a tree.
Yeah.
That's good. And my second favorite has got to be at the restaurant where they all get food poisoning. They're talking about like a bachelorette party, and McCarthy it's just like, I'm just gonna spitball on this one. Fight Club, female Fight Club. We get greased up, we pull up, but Lily no, so it's like, surprise, we're gonna fight, and we beat the shit out of her. She'll never that, just fucking attack. And people nowadays associate Melissa McCarthy as just being the loudmouth raunchy to me, because that is the staple that she kind of has settled for nowadays. Even though she does do dramatic stuff and she's incredibly good at it. I was at the premiere of Can You Ever Forgive Me, and watching the movie and then her really intelligent answers during your Q&A like gave me a hell of a lot more respect for her as an actress. But people tend to forget until they watch Bridesmaids that she's actually very low key. She has a much softer delivery and timing than any of her other movies, and I think that's what really sets the characters off guard every time she says something. She doesn't scream it out loud and then they get suddenly shocked by it. She just says it like it would be any other sense, and you're just like, okay. But it's a really funny delivery, and it leads to a lot of funny reactions. This is the most deadpan she's ever been in her entire career, and it's her fucking breakout role, because before this, all she had was Gilmore Girls,
which he was okay on.
I've never seen it, but like I said before, like for the majority of the movie, it's just her negative qualities that really shine until the breakup moment in every rom-com, and in Bridesmaids' case, it's just the breakup of best friends, not an actual couple. That Megan shows up when Annie, our main character, is just at rock bottom. She's taking her frustrations out on everyone she comes across, even when they're trying to be nice to her. And that's when McCarthy like really shows her acting chops by telling that one story about how Megan went from being the bully girl in high school who literally had firecrackers thrown at her head, which wow, high school's in Missouri, let me tell you. But anyways,
I mean,
she went from a bully to getting up off of her ass, studying really hard, reading every book in the library, and having that great government job that controls all of the nukes hidden within the Walgreens, just as an example to show that yes, life is tough, but as she puts it, you are your own problem. Don't blame the world for everything that happens, because you are your own problem, but you're also your own solution. which she proves by tackling Annie and forcing her to hit back to show that she can actually take charge of her own life. And it was such a simultaneously comedic and dramatic example that, again, reminded me of my number 4, but in a really positive way. And she completely stands out on her own here.
Yeah, I will say that Bridesmaids is very funny. I particularly like Melissa McCarthy in The Heat because again, she is a little loud, but she is slightly under in her performance. Sandra Bullock does a lot of being loud as well, which is actually a big departure because she's usually just quiet and trying to adopt football players or float around in space, and doesn't.
Don't forget Miss Congeniality, where she's the toughest nails FBI agent.
Yeah, but like I really like the departure she has in Heat, but Melissa McCarthy is the standout in Heat, 100%. Because it was that era where we got Heat, Spy, and Bridesmaids. Those were like 3 hits right in a row, like boom, boom, boom. And then there were other movies in between, but I don't remember them because, yeah.
There's nothing to remember.
All I know is Melissa McCarthy can be very funny. And I want her to be. Just don't work with your husband. Just make a drama. There are very few husband and wife couples that work, I will say. Emily Blunt and John Krasinski work really well together. Mila Jovovich and her husband, they make stupid movies together. Doesn't mean they're good, but they are entertaining, they know what they're doing. But Ben Falcone and Melissa McCarthy, I get you want to do things together. But you marketed Tammy as a freaking comedy. What is wrong with you? And then you directed Thunder Force and you dragged Octavia Spencer into your shit pile? Leave her out of this. She's amazing. Don't direct movies that your wife is in. That's all I'm saying. This is why your career is tanking. You were funny when other people directed you.
I had no idea that even existed until I saw the Double Toasted review, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this?
No, every single movie they do together is just horrible, and people are like, it's okay. I'm like, make a drama.
I sat for Tammy, and I was the only one in my house who didn't like it, oddly enough.
Why would you like Tammy? Like, it would be different if I think they would work well together if they say, we're making a drama, we're making a serious drama about some husband and wife stuff. That could work. And it has some comedic moments. But like everything he puts her in just is not good.
Well,
Life of the Party, oh my goodness, I suffered through that. The Boss, I suffered through that. Ugh.
I haven't seen any of those, but like even when she shoves him into stuff, it is incredibly distracting. For one, he was actually in Can You Forever Forgive Me for absolutely no reason. And as much as I like Spy, the worst scene is when McCarthy's waiting for that motorcyclist to come up, and then he just walks mid-frame. It's just like, hey, can you tell me where this is going? It's just like, do you mind? We're kind of busy here. All right, fine, bye. And I'm just like...
That's how I feel about his whole career. I mean, Ben Falcone's probably best movie is Enough Said, but that's not even that great. It's okay. It's okay. James Gandolfini. Regardless, I think Bridesmaids definitely probably her shining moment.
Oh, absolutely.
I still love Heat, but that's just me.
No, hey, Heat is really funny and underrated.
Oh, her family, the scenes with her family, just, oh my goodness, they get me. I will come in at number 5 here with my favorite modern comedy for the last many, many years. I like modern comedies. I enjoyed Bad Moms. I enjoy a lot of these new raunchy comedies. I think they're great. But for me, the one that really took me by surprise, because I mean, if I was to go down the list of what I liked, Bad Moms, awesome. I like the Jumanjis. I like Keeping Up with the Joneses. I know a lot of people didn't like that. I thought it was really funny. I like spy things, so that hits me. We really enjoyed Trainwreck. We enjoyed a lot of these style of movies. I will give it to American Ultra. That's really funny. As awkward as it is with Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart. But the one that got me was Game Night. Like, I was not expecting to like Game Night. But I went into this movie, I thought, oh, it's about board games, me and the wife will go on a date. This is fucking funny. This is a funny movie. I like the casting of Rachel McAdams. I've never been a Rachel McAdams fan. Like, she did whatever, she did The Notebook, but Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams as a couple that host game nights at their house and invite their friends, it's delightful. And then it gets messed up in this giant crosstown caper where like it's a murder mystery, but it basically takes all the good elements of The Man Who Knew Too Little with Bill Murray from '98 or whatever it was, where he goes on this sort of murder mystery night and then he gets trapped in it and it's really about spies and such, and does it in a funnier way than Bill Murray ever could. Not that I don't love his performance in that. I think it's super underrated and very quirky, but it's a different time, it's a different style of comedy. And oh my goodness, this is a funny, funny movie. And I love the one character I love that makes me laugh, Jesse Plemons as their neighbor who can never get invited to game night. Every time they just don't tell him, they have to sneak in. Like, there is a level of effort made to be like, no, you can't come because you're so serious. And I know he's been known for playing this over-the-top serious role, but this works so well as a comedic gag. And when they finally do invite him to game night, and they're playing a game and it's very, very serious, it leads to possibly the funniest section of the movie, where they get blood all over his tiny white-lipped Caesar's cat food dog, and they're trying to wash it off, and it's spraying all over his room, and there's just blood absolutely everywhere. Because I believe he got a cut on his hand, he's trying to find a Band-Aid or something. And oh my goodness, just this tiny little dog barking as everything is getting covered in blood and splaying around to the full comedic effect is funny. But what makes it even funnier is he walks in and just looks at all this. He's like, what the heck? Just his understated reaction to this massively ridiculous situation is phenomenal. And then he ends up saving them at the end, and it's just, game night should not be this good, but it's really good. I love this movie, and I love I love this actor in it, and playing Gary. Oh my goodness, I love this movie. This is one I'd pop on. If I need to laugh, I'm like, we're watching game night. Because like there was a lot that came out around this 2018 time period. Like I thought that the really bad I thought that Scarlett Johansson could be pretty good in the Bachelorette film, but no. Oof. Yeah, Rough Night could have been really, really great because I had just seen Girls Trip, which was really, really funny. But this was not. No, it was not. But like game night just blew it out of the water. Everyone is cast perfectly, and I can't think of a more perfect and funny casting for Jesse Plemons as Gary.
Game night really is a lot better than it had any right to. I think Brad Jones put it best. It's like it was a Brian De Palma movie in a comedy universe, which really sums it up nicely. Because I mean, it has the long take sequence that is just. Comedies can do long takes, and they can do them actually pretty well. It's insane. And honestly, when you were about to say the funniest part of the movie, I was thinking about my favorite when Plemons fakes his death and makes them feel shitty about not inviting them, and it turns out, oh, it's just a blood capsule, and some of the stuff that was going on was just organized by him as revenge. But when they deal with the egg and the witness protection list, because he tricked them, why the fuck would he believe him when he starts acting serious? And then he actually gets shot by Dexter, of all people.
I mean, you could have gone with the brother, who did give a pretty good performance as this over-the-top character who turned out to be in stuff that's too deep. But I liked him, but I liked the neighbor more. The neighbor that's the guy.
Plemons is better, but I mean, Kyle Chandler also proves
he's good. Yeah, he's really good. And I mean, oh my goodness, even all their friends is supporting and such, and the guy who keeps bringing new dates to every game night, that's a really funny storyline and such. It's just really cool.
The Django basement fighting.
It's just game night is great, and this is one of the reasons why. Everyone, there is no better. There's no way you could make this movie better.
No.
Unless you had a Mel Brooks cameo. Like, that's the only... But Mel Brooks isn't going to do that. That's, like, the only thing... If he was one of the characters, you know, as a gangster that showed up or something. That's the only thing I would improve. And he's not going to do that. So, I mean, this is phenomenal. What do you got at your number 4 here?
Okay, so at number 4, there's a cliche that I've noticed in family movies and TV shows a lot more lately. I mean, partly because of the poster I keep pointing at in every single fucking video that we do.
Well, you can have Fantasia back there soon.
Yeah, it's true. But there's always a character who is as dumb as a stump in terms of IQ, but again, near the very end of the movie shows that they are extremely intelligent when it comes to understanding people, and especially when they're struggling with their feelings and bottling up their emotions and making themselves and the other people around them just completely worse. And like I said with Megan from Bridesmaids, this character is the one who shows off all of his negative qualities first and then positives near the end. And again, this is a rom-com, but it's a rom-com for family. And one of the best, in my opinion, which is from Eddie Murphy as Donkey from Shrek.
I like that Shrek's on this list. I approve of this listing.
Yeah, and as I wrote down this opening statement in my notes, it really hit me. The reason that he's one of, if not the best Shrek characters ever, is that he really does know how to give people advice based on the fact that dude's as open of a book as you can possibly get. He's never afraid to say anything. And while that does piss off a lot of people just based on the fact that since he is open about everything, he's open about the stuff he doesn't know, he has absolutely no experience with, and it just frustrates the hell out of them that they have to walk him through these new experiences, especially with in the first movie. As I was revisiting clips, there's the bit where they go into the castle, but there's the lava bridge, and it's just like,
oh my goodness.
Forgot to tell you, donkeys don't exactly wear fear on their sleeves. Oh, come on, donkeys can't wear sleeves. You know what I mean? Oh, come on, you can't tell me you're afraid of heights. Well, no, I ain't afraid of heights, but I am afraid of a whole thing of molten lava. There's moments like that, but his honesty also is what gets people to respect the hell out of him, especially with Shrek and the dragon, because the thing the two of them have in common when they first meet Donkey is that before they met him, everyone had looked upon them with fear and disgust based on their appearances. And even though Donkey technically looks at the dragon out of fear first,
you're a girl dragon.
Yeah. My, what large teeth you have. I mean, shiny teeth. I bet you hear this a lot from your food, but do you bleach it or something? Because it just looks nice. You're a girl dragon? Oh, of course you're a girl dragon. You have so much feminine beauty. Listen, I love the state, but I'm asthmatic.
I love his boulder speech. That's a nice boulder. Like, that's just so dumb.
It's just, he's so quotable. Eddie Murphy has like some of the best energy, timing, and delivery that really gives you the impression that he improvised a lot of his stuff. I don't know if there are a few lines where it feels like no one else could have written it, like the family dinner. There's one tiny line that just gets me every single moment, where it's just like the chef brings all the food and he goes, "Bon appetit." All right, Mexican food, my favorite. And I'm just like, I don't even get the joke, but that's still hilarious. Or when they meet Puss in Boots and it's like, what do you think we should do with him? I say we take that sword and neuter him right now. Give him the Barker. The things that you don't notice when you're a kid, but outside of how quotable he is and the fact that there's one line that he definitely improvised when Shrek and Fiona bond over their belches, where it's just like, it's no way to behave in front of a princess. Man, she's as nasty as you. Outside of that, like I said, rom-com has that moment where the best friend shows up and gives him the tough love advice that he needs to hear. That was probably the first time I ever saw that in a movie, if I'm being completely honest, which is why it still holds up. But because Donkey is so open and honest about everything, the one thing he's smart about is that he can tell when people are hiding secrets based on the inflection in their voice or the looks on their face. And he knows for a fact, possibly based on experience, because we really don't know that much about his past, that he knows for a fact bottling up your emotions makes you worse as a human or a creature in Shrek's case. And he knows what kind of dark path that would lead him down. He just wants to help as many people the best way he can. And the only way he knows how to help people is just by being himself. So not only is he fucking hilarious and extremely quotable, but he's also really relatable. One of, if not the more relatable characters out of the entire franchise.
Yeah, I do like the Duloc scene where they roll up and they press the button. Oh, what does this do? No, Donkey. They sing the Duloc song, wipe here. Ah, let's do that again. No.
No. Or when he starts belting out Bette Midler. Why are you following me? I'll tell you why. 'Cause I'm all alone. There's no one beside.
So here's the deal.
No
We get to
wonder
the castle.
Wow.
Here's the deal. We get
That brutally honest.
So here's the deal. We get to the castle. We get to the princess. We go home to our swamp. Buy a swamp. Just like the level of it's. Oh my goodness, it's so good.
Yeah.
I just love Donkey. I like it. And the internet's gonna hate me. This is more to me. If I had to pick Eddie Murphy as Mushu or Eddie Murphy as Donkey, I'm taking Donkey because Mushu doesn't mean as much to me.
Yeah.
Mushu's got moments, but Donkey, everything that man says is funny. Every kid laughs at it. Every adult laughs at it. You like Donkey, even in like the third Shrek movie, you will laugh at Donkey because
Every kid can, even as a kid, I can tell some Donkey knockoffs when I see them. Like I remember going to see Brother Bear at the theaters and remembering that the little tiny bear cub Coda is just a Donkey knockoff, and it's the exact same Shrek and Donkey relationship where the Joaquin Phoenix bear hates this kid's guts, but also doesn't look at him with fear or disgust. So keeps him around anyways. It's kind of a codependency.
you know the Revenant would have been better if Joaquin Phoenix was the bear that was attacking Leonardo DiCaprio.
You get what you fucking deserve.
Just say it. My number 4 is one performance I like, not based upon the person. The person is in no reflection a person I admire. I love The Naked Gun. And The Naked Gun is Leslie Nielsen's.
I know where this is going.
And it's filled with amazing performances from Leslie Nielsen and Priscilla Presley. Ricardo Montalban as the villain is genius. George Kennedy is perfect. But the one person I love in here, I love Nordberg. Nordberg is hilarious. Now, for those of you who don't know, Nordberg is played by the alleged murderer O.J. Simpson. But this is way long before that. The opening scene to Naked Gun, he's breaking into a boat cabin, and he gets shot, 300 times? He falls into a birthday cake. His head gets smashed on a window. He falls into the water. He keeps getting killed by these gangsters trying to break into this. And he should be dead. He should be actually dead. Because he gets shot, he gets back up. He gets shot again, gets back up. Falls through a window, gets back up. The window wasn't even there because it's in a boat. Falls into a birthday cake. Falls into like a flaming grill. It's the most over-the-top ridiculousness. And then he falls into the water, and there's chalk marks on the water where his body is floating. And then we transition to Leslie Nielsen looking. He's like, poor Nordberg. and they're like picking up the chalk outline and taking it away. And then they proceed to put him in the hospital, where they pull what I call a Dreyfus from Son of the Pink Panther, which they did at first, where he's on the bed and the bed is going up and down and his legs are broken and he's unconscious, and the only thing he says to him is "I love you," which is the name of the boat that he was on. And we don't hear from him till the rest of the movie. When he pulls up in a wheelchair at the end, he's like, "Nordberg, old buddy, it's good to see ya." And he's like, "This man right here is amazing." And he falls all the way down the stairs into the baseball pit. Like, the level of comedy they give this guy for 2 scenes is possibly almost as memorable as the giant condom scene or the office fish scene from the first one. And in the third one, we open up with Nordberg. There he is. He's on the steps. They make fun of the Untouchables. If you ever seen that, where the baby carriages are rolling down and a baby carriage rolls down, and they have 10 baby carriages rolling down, and he's trying to save them all, and he's like rushing around, and there's gangsters, and there's a fire department like trying to save one of the babies, and Nordberg doesn't know what to do, and it's ridiculous. It's funny. Regardless of what you think of the man, this is funny. So,
well, okay, a couple things I'm taking away from this. The first one is that I really need to catch up on Naked Gun and Top Secret, because those are the classic parody movies I haven't seen.
If you have Airplane, Naked Gun, Top Secret, watch all of those. Those are the 3.
The second thing is that based on everything you just told me, the amount of pain and suffering he goes through, you do not have to apologize for pointing out that that's O.J. Simpson, because I think all of our audience members are going, yay!
But it's funny pain and suffering.
Oh, yeah.
So, I love this. I love Naked Gun. I mean, everyone in this has moments. Everyone is funny. Every scene in any of these, Airplane, Naked Gun, and Top Secret, literally from beginning to end, are nonstop hilarity. But Nordberg adds to this in the Naked Gun series. And, oh my goodness, if you have not seen Naked Gun 33 1/3, where Leslie Nielsen is in a sperm bank and he's trying to stop them all from collapsing, think of Ted 2, but really funny. And he has to watch an instructional videotape on how to get sperm out of himself and then save all the sperm. You just need to.
You know what? I'm just going to watch Top Secret.
Fair enough. But Naked Gun 1 is by far the best, but I like 33 1/3. It's my favorite.
You've sold me on the first Naked Gun anyway.
The first Naked Gun, Top Secret, and Airplane are phenomenal. Just three of the best spoof movies ever made. I mean, I'd maybe put Hot Shots Part 2 up there, because that one's really great. And maybe the first Scary Movie, or Scary Movie 3, even with Leslie Nielsen and the aliens, that's got some really great moments.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything with Leslie Nielsen is funny, guys. Just go watch it. What do you got at number 3, Tyler?
My number 3 is tying back into how Red is a must-watch at our house, and probably the biggest reason for that is for John Malkovich giving his funniest, not his best performance, but his funniest performance as Marvin. Now, for those who don't know, yeah, exactly.
I like it.
So, for those who don't know, Red is about a group of retired Black Ops specialists who are being hunted down because they know too much. And when Bruce Willis and his girlfriend, who is completely innocent other than the fact that she's talked on the phone with him, so she's a new target, they come across Marvin for help. And Bruce has to, like, prep her in every single regard, like, move at a slow pace, don't make any sudden movements, don't use your cell phone, you took my cell phone, don't talk about cell phones, don't talk about satellites. Seriously, instantly, like, Malkovich jumps up, camouflage with a crossbow. Why are you trying to kill me? I'm not trying to kill you. Oh, yes, you are. Why would I try to kill you? Because last time we met, I tried to kill you. That was a long time ago. Some people hold on to these things. I'm not trying to kill you. So we're friends, right? Right. Good.
Yeah, that's a good
take your knife away from my balls. It cuts away to, like, him pointing a knife right in his junk, and right away you instantly learn the kind of lifestyle that Marvin lives. I'll show you the house, and they walk in the opposite direction because the house is a decoy. He lives in an underbunker ground hidden by a love bug. The door is in the trunk. He refuses to touch anything technology-wise, no computers, no cell phones, because he is completely suspicious that there are satellites watching him everywhere. And I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah. The big takeaway is that during his military service, he received daily doses of LSD, because in real life, that shit actually happened. And I got to see real-life clips of that in history class, and wow, is that depressing. But anyways, that should really sum up just how ridiculous this type of character is. And I love that the writers take advantage. They take every possible opportunity they can to make him seem flat out fucking insane and unreliable. But the hilarious part is, even though he is all those things, half the time he is absolutely right about all of his conspiracies. That big moment where where he spots this one girl who's been going every single direction they have, pulls a gun on her within an instant because he does think that she's following them. About 5 minutes later, they are being watched by a satellite that can actually see him giving them the finger. And the same lady he pulled a gun on shows up with a bazooka. And it leads to probably my favorite line in the movie, where she goes, "That's right, old man." And he's like, "Old man? No respect. Can I kill her now?" He says all of these Malkovich says all these batshit crazy things and does them in such a nonchalant, deadpan way. And not only does that really lead into the comedy, but it sums him up as a character so well. Dude is at his most calm when he is fighting for his life against the government and for his friend's survival. So he already does have a great amount of loyalty, but he's also ridiculously good at killing people and is incredibly smart about every single espionage tactic. And he has absolutely no fucks given. In the second movie, probably my favorite part is in like the first 20 minutes when they're driving, and all of a sudden as they're talking, you can hear like trunk marks, and they're just like, ah. And Mary Louise just goes, is there a human being in the car? Yeah. Dude does not have any regard for human life except for himself and then his friend secondary, because since Red is also a rom-com, dude's like the best friend figure for Bruce Willis. And even though dude has no relationship advice whatsoever, has no experience because he wouldn't trust any woman in particular, he somehow knows exactly what to say, what to do. He tries to train Willis's girlfriend in self-defense because even though she is completely useless and Willis refuses to teach her based on that, she's living a life of danger just by having a relationship with him. So somebody had to fucking teach her. But yeah, John Malkovich, I could watch him strap a fake bomb to his chest, and CIA agents are like about to corner him, and he'll just go, ah, and they're just like, okay, shit, go, and then as soon as they run away, he just stops and throws the fake switch away. It's just like, it was fake. What do you fucking do? I don't know. Malkovich is just so fucking quotable. He is so unhinged. It's my personal favorite and funniest performance that he has ever given.
That is very, very fair. Yeah, I had to refresh my memory on Red. I've seen it, but not in the last 5 years. I remember liking it a lot.
I've seen it more times than I can count the past 5 years.
Because your family loves it. That's like their favorite movie. That and Tammy, right? No, just kidding.
No, although Pitch Perfect is definitely up there.
I have a very interesting number 3.
You tell.
This is the most quotable movie of all time, and the movie that I will never watch again because I literally know it by heart. You know it, everyone knows it, Monty Python, the Holy Grail. It has some of the best side characters, and there's one that makes me laugh that I don't know if anyone else gets. Like, I love the Black Knight. I like the mopey prince who climbs down the moat. But for me, the character, or even the guards, even the indecisive guards where they're trying to do instructions, that's really funny. And everyone there, and the bridge guy. I love the singing minstrel. The singing minstrel who follows Sir Robin Not So Brave around and sings to him. And like the first time he sings, it's funny. He's like, brave Robin, and then the second time, but the third time, before they kill him off and they get eaten by whatever the cartoon is, he's like, brave Sir Robin ran away, and it's just like, so...
He reared his ugly head, he bravely turned his tail and fled, yes, brave Sir Robin galloped about, and yellingly he chickened out.
For me, that's the funniest moment of the entire movie. It's played by Neil Innes, who's extra in a couple of the Monty Python movies. It's funny. There's not much I can say about it, except it makes me laugh harder than anything in the movie. I love the Swallows. I love the Bring Out Your Dead. I love the Black Knight. I like the weird nunnery place where they go and he has to get out of there. I love Camelot. I like Camelot because it's a silly place. I like that they've already got one and your father was a hamster and your mother was a worm. I like that they get arrested at the end because it makes sense. Not really, but I mean for this movie, yes. But for me, it's Brave Sir Robin's songs. They're singing and then boom, they're gone. They get eaten by the random cartoon. It's perfect. I don't know how much more I can say about this except it's my favorite part of the movie.
I've already quoted this on one of our episodes before, but I'm just going to quote the Three-Headed Knight right now because that is also one of, if not my favorite scenes.
That's a good gag, too. That's really funny.
But the Three-Headed Knight's just like, in that case, I shall have to kill you. Shall I? No, I don't think so. But what do I think? I think kill him. Well, let's be nice to him. Oh, shut up. But, and you. Quick, get the sword. I want to cut his head off. No, cut your own head off. Yes, it was all a favor. What? Yapping on all the time? You're lucky you're not next. What do you mean? You snore. Oh, I don't. Anyways, you got bad breath. But it's only because you don't brush my teeth. Oh, stop bitching and let's all have tea. All right. We'll kill him first, and then we'll have tea and biscuits. Yes, or not biscuits. All right, not biscuits, but let's kill him anyway. Right. You bag it off. So yes, he's scarpered.
But yeah, I like this, but I will never watch it again. I literally know this thing off by heart. It's terrifying.
And I've never seen it twice, but I have that exact same feeling.
It was the movie that me and my friends would get together and watch in high school over and over and over again.
Dude, that's where I first saw it. My school was doing like a fundraiser, and the fundraiser was like, we get to watch Holy Grail for the first time in the music room. And I had never seen it before because my earlier introduction to Monty Python just didn't do anything for me. But my friends talked me into it. They were much more well-versed into it. They encouraged me to take one of the posters for the fundraiser off and keep it as a souvenir, which I have on my dresser closet right now. If you go back and watch like my videos from 2016, you can actually see it there, and it's the rabbit coming out of the Grail. It's just such a good picture. It's almost like a Criterion cover.
Well, I'm gonna turn my camera screen here because I want to get to my Monty Python poster. So over here, hold up. Over here on the wall is my custom Monty Python. My buddy designed it to me for my. I probably should just insert a picture, but I did it the hard way. But he designed me a custom Monty Python poster for my 20th birthday. One of the best gifts I've ever received. It's super dope.
Okay, that is awesome.
Yeah, because I got Son of Kong, but yeah, he basically it's the rabbit and then the rabbit dead. But I always thought the rabbit was one of the funniest things in high school, so we designed it off of that. And he's like, "Happy 20th birthday! I made you a custom poster." I'm like, I like you. I mean, I already liked you, but I like you more now.
No, that's the appropriate thing to say.
So, yeah. Yes. But yeah, Neil Innes is the singing minstrel and extra in a bunch of Monty Python movies. Very funny.
Oh, okay. I'm going to take a 10-second breather before I get into my number 2 because, it's Monty Python.
Yeah, I like Monty Python. I was going to go with his role in the life of Brian, but this one just made me laugh more.
Yeah, like Holy Grail, I know it more off the top of my head, but it still makes me laugh no matter how many times I quote it. Like, Life of Brian has moments, but like judging the movie as a whole, it's a little bit of a mixed bag for me. But, it's those moments that make you glad that you...
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now I'm ready.
All right, go ahead.
So my number 2, usually when you have a cynical comic relief, that character is just completely miserable about their own life, and the only satisfaction that they can get is making fun of other people. But my choice for sarcastic comic relief is actually for someone who enjoys the hell out of life and people, and his way of expressing that is by putting people down for their negative qualities to show that it really makes no difference for me. That's why I joke about it. And for me, there is none better than Sam Rockwell as Owen in The Way, Way Back.
Oh, I like that pick. I really do. That's a good pick.
My favorite performance of his. Like, I'm glad he won the Oscar for Free Billboards, but he should have gotten nominated for this. Because he's just fucking great at being comedic and dramatic a little bit simultaneously. Because there's that one moment that instantly hooks you in the movie where our main character, Duncan, takes a girl's bike and, like, rides down to the water park for no real reason other than to sit there and look at all the happy people and wonder, why isn't that me? And then Rockwell walks up and goes, okay, excuse me, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. You're having way too much fun and it's making everybody uncomfortable. And because kid's that shy, dude actually does get up, and it makes Rockwell naturally realize that this kid does need help, and he just goes, whoa, I'm just kidding, that wasn't even some of my best stuff, come on. And then takes him under his wing. And even though he's considerably more gentle after that, he still keeps up the sarcasm in order to, like, toughen up Duncan and get him to come out of his shell, which is what the kind of sort of father figure in his life, Steve Carell, who is just a complete and utter douche and is sarcastic towards him for no real reason other than dude's bored, I guess. And you can definitely tell that the tough love approach that Rockwell gives is considerably much more playful when he talks to the other people. Like, the co-director of the way back, Jim Rash from Community, as this
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey Dahmer-looking motherfucker who is never happy with anything, and the two of them have nothing but sarcastic put-downs for each other. Yeah, don't mind Dahmer glasses. His mom and dad were rough on him as a child. I have two dads, so on you. And I forgot to tell you this, Josh, but Jim Rash is actually on this poster here somewhere, and so
Really?
is Abed.
Huh.
Yeah,
I know that. My favorite comedy duo of all time is on there somewhere with what's her name? Oh my goodness.
Kate Micucci.
Kate Micucci, yeah.
Right here.
Kate Micucci is delightful in everything she does.
And Jim Rash, if you can see him through the glare, is actually right there. But
oh, okay.
But
well, yeah, I will always be a Garfunkel and Oates fan. They are funny, inappropriate, and just delightful. And I mean, when they had Weird Al come on one of their shows, I mean, what more could anyone ask for in life?
Yeah, and Oates does have a large part in the last step too. Very conveniently,
he's amazing in Knives Out.
Well, the two scenes that she has, but anyways,
yeah.
The tough love approach that Sam Rockwell gives towards Duncan, that's more playful, but is a little bit more of a hard-ass type of thing, where he offers the kid a job and it's just like, I need somebody to do some odd jobs, clean up some vomit, and it's just like, definitely. I mean, if you need anybody, I mean, if it's totally okay with you, and Rockwell's just going, trying to get him to speed it up, and when he doesn't speed it up, and just, because he's nervous, he doesn't know what to expect, and then dude just goes, Duncan. Yeah. There you go. And it's the kind of technique that you don't want to admit works because you hate it every time your friends or your dad brings it up on you, but it definitely does work, especially during that hilarious bit where Anna Sophia Robb meets up with Duncan, which, minor side note, where has Anna Sophia Robb been since Bridge to Terabithia or since this movie? Because that was 8 years ago, and she still looks
That's great. A good question.
It is still a good actress, even though her character doesn't hold up in Terabithia. She's kind of a mental patient, but anyways.
I haven't seen the Bridge to Terabithia movie, but I did really when I was a kid, I was emotionally crushed by the book and decided never to watch the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's like 2002, I've read The Trumpet of the Swan, and it was sad, the swan dies, whatever. But then I read Bridge to Terabithia, I'm like, no. It was very good, but I am sad.
There's that, and she definitely makes you feel sad for the character's death. But there's that moment where the two of them are talking and hitting it off naturally for the first time. And of course, Rockwell and Matt Faxon, the other co-director, because Community, what do you expect? It's just like, Duncan, please come over here. This is incredibly urgent, of important matter. And then as soon as he walks over, it's just like, "You have something, kid? What's going on? Nothing? Who's that girl? Oh, nobody. She's a little bit older than me." Awesome, but why aren't you talking to her? Why are you here with us? And the kid finally opens up and just goes, well, maybe, Rowdy, if you guys hadn't called me over. Oh, it's just like, Duncan, please return to your lady friend and please let her know this entire conversation was about her. In other news, this is incredibly awkward and uncomfortable for you. Fucking hilarious. It felt so natural. The way that these characters roast each other nonstop is the most realistic depiction of roasting at work. I don't know how often that happens to you, but in a kitchen, that's another day. That's just another day in the office.
Well, I mean, there's a little thing that me and my coworkers pull on one of our coworkers. We nicknamed our one buddy Friar Tuck because he has a bald spot. So we do. And he, after a while, I was like, no. And I'm like, it's still funny. He's like, yeah, no, just stop.
Yeah, being an actual role model for someone by being incredibly sarcastic and pretending to be a complete stick in the mud just to make fun of actual sticks in the mud is such a change of pace for a character like this. And there is that awesome moment where he actually puts on a straight face and subtly lets them know that his childhood was the exact same and just goes, you got to go your own way, and you, my friend, are going your own way. I actually choke up every time he says that because he's so natural.
But I mean, the cast in this movie alone, you've got Steve Carell, Toni Collette, Allison Janney, Sam Rockwell, Maya Rudolph, Rob Codroy, who's come up in comedy, etc., etc., etc. It gives me, for me, I really like this movie because it's a good movie, it's very funny, it's very heartwarming, but I really liked Adventureland when that came out. And this gives me similar, you go to a small town that's Jesse Eisenberg, and Bill Burr.
Kristen Stewart in it too?
Yes, she is indeed, or Bill Hader, sorry. And Christian Wiig, but this, it takes what Adventureland does and gives it more heart. And I will still watch Adventureland, but I like the element of heart that they've added. Yeah, so for me, that's excellent.
Because like the way back has absolutely no surprises whatsoever.
No.
The script wears those cliches like a badge and just focuses on the emotions that Liam James as Duncan portrays, because he is really good at just being so, I don't want to say ungrateful, because that is the character flaw that he has to overcome. He has to like stop being so concerned about what other people think and just focus on what's best for him, which does include the romance with Anna Sophia Robb, the relationship with Toni Collette working with Steve Carell again after Little Miss Sunshine. Which Little Miss Sunshine and Way Back are both on Disney Plus Star and are totally worth checking out.
100%.
But it's a much different relationship than Little Miss Sunshine. But yeah, like no surprises whatsoever. But there was so much heart in the performances, the writing. I don't want to say the direction, but like Jim Rash and Nat Faxon are still figuring out the direction thing. And if you've seen Downhill, you know that they've got.
Yeah, Downhill. It was all right. Honestly, I've watched the original film because it's a Criterion thing you can get, and yeah, it's on Criterion. Well, it was like when I watched it. But it's got moments, and I think Will Ferrell really does his best. I think Will Ferrell's transitioning into like a dramedy star. I think that's what he's trying to do, because his mainstream comedies aren't hitting anymore. They are not.
That before, I mean, he had Stranger Than Fiction, which was really good.
Fantastic.
He had Everything Must Go, which isn't the greatest movie, but like he's phenomenal.
Yeah, well, he is phenomenal. I like the concept of the yard sale and everything. Everything the movie has to say about this divorce, about being stuck on the front lawn with all his stuff in front of his wife's house, is just. But I think that this is the right direction for him to go, and I just think he's going to hit one of these indie darlings, and boom, because his career after 2016, 2014, like. Really, it just, after Anchorman 2, there was really nothing more for him to offer us in silly comedies. I think he needs to go the route of dramatic. One thing I did want to mention, now my brain's blanking on this. I was looking for this preparation list. Now, remember, yes, this is good. It's good that I remember. 3 Billboards. I didn't mind the movie. I didn't dislike it. There's a couple things I don't mind, but my question is, it was on the best comedies of all time. I don't consider it a comedy. I would say it's got moments of comedy with the dentist scene, and some of the Peter Dinklage stuff, but I would consider it more of a drama. What would you say?
Yeah, it's, I laughed a little bit harder the second time around, and here's the thing, like, the first time I saw 3 Billboards, I thought it was good, but not great, and then the emotional gut punch, the darker elements, like, really hit me the second time around, and I appreciated it a hell of a lot more. But I said in my review of 3 Billboards, they didn't really take that many chances with the comedy, because the great thing about dark humor is that it's about taking something that's not funny and, like, dialing it up to 11. And it's the reason I respect it a hell of a lot more. It's the reason my own sense of humor, when I do show it, because people who watch my videos are gonna like, wait, what sense of humor? But
you have a personality and sense of humor. You just always make that joke.
I know I have those things. And why do you think I made that 420 Cats review, just to make as many pussy and asshole jokes as I possibly could? Hell, I forgot 1 or 2 of them. I forgot to say that Rebel Wilson was great in Pitch Perfect, but scratching her pussy on camera was not something I wanted.
That's fair.
Yeah, but no shit, now I can't remember what I was going to say next.
No, I just wondered if 3 Billboards was a comedy. For me, I would say it's a drama. I just didn't see it as a comedy.
It has, well, sporadically, but like In Bruges, and Seven Psychopaths. Those were comedies.
Technically, Red has comedic moments too, but it's more of an action movie.
Yeah, but it's an action comedy. Like that's not the weirdest combination out there.
Fair enough. Yeah, I just wondered. I was just a random thought there. My number 2. This is no surprise to absolutely anybody. Jay and Silent Bob. I love Jay and Silent Bob. I like Kevin Smith. I like the View Askew universe. I have positive things to say about Jay and Silent Bob reboot, but not a lot of good things to say after the first sentence. So Jay and Silent Bob are side characters that appear. Seriously, do not watch Reboot. It's really bad. Like, it's really bad. It's got, if you're a fan, you're going to love it. If not, you're going to be like, why does this exist? It's too in-joke for its own good. So we first meet Jay and Silent Bob when they're hanging out at the Quickie Mart in Clerks. And they come in, and they're just there, and they're selling drugs, and they're dancing to boombox music. Silent Bob says 2 words the entire movie. He looks at our main character, Dante, and he says, or Randall, sorry, Dante. And he's like, you know what? There's a lot of girls in this world, but not a lot of them bring you lasagna at work.
Most of it's cheap.
Yeah. So, you know, and then we see them again in Mallrats, and they're hanging around, and this is Kevin Smith's second feature. This is my favorite. I own the fancy edition Blu-ray with the map because I love it so much. And they're Batman and Superman. They're hanging around the mall. They're trying to beat the security guard to take down the game show. So what's his name can get his girlfriend back. And they're like, and it's just, there's the first time we see them in this movie is they're sitting at the pet store just looking at the cute kittens. That's what they're doing. And Silent Bob is making the weirdest faces ever. And then at the end of it, when Silent Bob swaps in the pornographic tape of underage sex to take down yeah, that's what he does. So they're not kidding you much. This is the movie. Basically, he wants his girlfriend back, but Ben Affleck, this really hotshot furniture store guy, I think it's Ben Affleck, is dating Shannon Doherty instead from 90210 and Charmed fame, and so this random girl they know has sex with this underage guy, and she films it all because she's writing a book and an experiment, and she does get to punch the protagonist in the face, so they play the tape so he can get his girlfriend back on his father's game show. The father played by the one and only Yondu. He is amazing in this role, and I mean, this has the where he wipes his hand on his butt, then shakes his hand, wipes it over chocolate covered pretzels, and make a guy sick. This movie's really good, but it has a lot of disturbing content. Because Stan Lee's in this, and Jay and Silent Bob are excellent, and you know, Silent Bob is trying to use the Force the entire time, so when the videotape falls into his hand, he finally uses the Force. Then we get to see them in Chasing Amy. We get to see them in pretty much every single movie. We get to see them in Clerks 2. They get really into the donkey sex scene, which is the finale of the movie. The guy, yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. And, yeah, they're just doing their thing, and they have, these are raunchy movies. That's what they are. And I love that. Because they have the heartfelt moments, you know, in this, so those shine a lot more. I mean, Clerks 2 is just a masterpiece, and I mean, after they make Holden McNeil's food with like flies and like urinal ice cubes, and they give it to Jay and Silent Bob, he's like, this tastes like ass and cheese. It's just, it's so dumb. It's so dumb, and he gets to say $15, little man, put that shit in my hand as he's selling weed. But then they did the unthinkable. They did the thing I wanted. They gave me Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, a movie where Jay and Silent Bob are the main characters after being the side saddle for 4 or 5 movies there, where they have to go to Hollywood to stop Hollywood from making a movie about themselves based on a comic book that they didn't authorize. It's brilliant. We get some of the best moments in comedy. Carrie Fisher is incredibly funny. Have you seen The Blues Brothers?
Yes.
Her with the rocket launcher is great, but in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, she plays a nun. And when Jay and Silent Bob learn about the rules of the road, that the book says you got to go down on a person to get a ride, Jay tries to go down on Carrie Fisher Nunn, and it's the most hilarious thing in the movie. They have a monkey. They're running around. They beat up the guys from American Pie. Like, it's absurd. They run into, like, a Charlie's Angels mock group of people who they end up falling in love with because they're bank robbers and they're setting them up, and that's where they get their monkey from. They end up being on set fighting Luke Skywalker with a ring in the shape of a dick. And it's dumb. And I love it. And I love Jay and Silent Bob. They recently did a short to promote themselves on their Instagram because it was 420. They had their weed, and they do their weed and all that stuff. And they do a bunch of this, but they do a lot. But they're just standing in front of this, and people come up and talk to them, and they think they're trying to get chicks in front of the Kevin Smith thing, and they're so meta. They're like, what, you think chicks come to this? This is just old dudes who remember the 90s. Like, it's so meta and so perfect. Kevin Smith knows exactly what he's doing when he puts himself in the movie. He's directing all his films, but then he's putting himself in as this silent guy who has one line of dialogue to memorize. The rest is just him being an idiot. And even in Reboot, when they go back and they hang outside the Quickie Mart for the last time with his daughter, it just feels right. Like, these two dudes, like in Clerks 2, they invest in the Quickie Mart. They're like, well, we'll buy the Quickie Mart for you as long as we can hang outside and get free food anytime. And it's perfect. Jay and Silent Bob are the perfect side characters to this universe. Even in Dogma. If you have not seen Dogma, I implore you. Have you seen Dogma, Tyler?
I'm a little scared to, if I'm being completely honest.
George Carlin is reinventing Jesus. Alanis Morissette is God.
What?
Matt Damon is an archangel.
See, I knew Matt Damon was...
It's so... You just have to watch these. Because, like, in... one of the ones I wanted to include on this list, like the side characters, the interactions. Like, they'll be talking about Transformers, or, for example, specifically Lord of the Rings, where in Clerks 2, where he's talking about this kid who only ever acted in this movie, talking about Lord of the Rings, and he one ring to rule them all, and Randall's like, let me reenact Lord of the Rings. He's like, movie 1, walking, walking, walking. Movie 2, more walking, more walking. Oh, look, a mountain, walking, walking, walking. Movie 3, oh, look, let's go to the mountain. Let's walk some more. And then this guy walks in. He's like, no, Lord of the Rings. Chicks dig Lord of the Rings, Randall, this kid says to Randall, right? And he's like, no, they don't. And he's like, what can I get you? And he's starting to quote the one ring to rule them all. And the customer behind him begins to quote it. It's great, like, just their interactions, like, talking about what's better, Empire or Jedi in Clerks. Classic! Like, just the way everything... In Mallrats, they literally have a conversation trying to get into the comic book store. He's like, why can't I get into the comic book store, you know? And he's like, well, Stan Lee's there. He's like, I don't care who's there. I'm going in the comic book store at the beginning of Mallrats, where he wakes up and Shannon Doherty's there, and she's like, I thought we were going to do breakfast. And she's like, are you playing Sega again? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, you can only get breakfast with me one time. And he's like, no. And he's like, this game, it's tied up. This team versus this team. This is never happening again. And she's like, and neither are we. I'm climbing out the window now. Goodbye. Like, it's so quirky. But then you get to, like, it's like sort of like the bad mom's philosophy, where you get the silliness and the heartfeltness, but then you get this overly overt scene, like where they're talking about uncircumcised penises with the sweater, you know? Like, you get this bit in there, and that becomes essential to the plot, you know? But Jay and Silent Bob drive these movies. Without Jay and Silent Bob in these movies, I don't see how these work as well. You have a bunch of dull characters. You need the side comedy. You need this. You need the awkwardness and the strangeness of these guys who don't really have any purpose, who aren't there. They're like the movie viewer in my mind. The movie viewer is the person standing outside this business, going around, basically seeing this perspective. And that's how he's bringing us into our movies, because otherwise the characters are really awkward and very unrelatable. So that's the way I see it. But Jay and Silent Bob, I love Jay and Silent Bob.
This is probably going to pop up again in our improv after show when we talk about comedy.
Oh, most likely.
Sounds about right. I've only seen like little bits of any of these movies. Like Dogma, the thing that like got my attention but also made me really afraid of seeing it was Matt Damon, Archangel Loki,
Yes.
holding a woman at gunpoint, and then Ben
Yeah.
Affleck just casually, with no hint of like shock, just goes, "Loki, you are really lucky right now. I hope you know that." Or
Was really good.
there are two bits in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back that really stick out, other than Mark Hamill doing his Joker voice.
Yes.
Again, I can't believe when you said Carrie Fisher as a nun, I shouldn't
Yeah.
have laughed. She already was a nun in Charlie's Angels too, when she was like wanted to paddle Drew Barrymore every time she opened her mouth or something like that. Because Drew Barrymore is kind of the chatty one out of the Angels. But there's the bit where like Jay is trying to like dictate what they're gonna do to the producers. We're gonna make him shit, and then we're gonna make him eat our shit, and then we're gonna make him shit out the shit that we just made. And of course, Bob just sits there going. That sums it up. That sums it up. That is,
Jay and Silent Bob, Chris Rock trying to direct the movie.
Oh yeah.
Chris Rock is trying to direct this movie, and he's just an angry director, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. But seriously, Dogma is up there with like political parody and religious parody, like possibly funnier than Life of Brian. Like it's really good. George Carlin is amazing in this. Like everyone in this movie is pitch perfect. You have to watch this film.
Okay.
What do you got at your? I'm very curious to see what your number one is.
Okay, so when you mentioned Chris Rock as like the angry director, I instantly thought of one of the most cliche characters you could possibly think of, the black angry police captain. But when I think about who's funny when they're angry, Ice Cube instantly comes to mind, and then I can't think of anything better than Captain Dixon from the Jump Street franchise. Because I mean, Ice Cube is just so on point when it comes to portraying nonstop, over the top rage, and he is so straight faced that whenever he has to constantly look unimpressed with everything, to the point where sometimes he doesn't even have to raise his voice or even speak, especially in the sequel where he gives Jonah Hill a high five for banging a college student, and then about 20 minutes later at the student parent dinner, that's when that girl introduces him to her father, Ice Cube, as Captain Dixon, which
great scene.
That scene was so intensely funny that not even a completely pointless and distracting Queen Latifah cameo can take your mind off of the fact that Ice Cube is doing nothing but like destroying a buffet without giving the slightest hint as to why, and is just so awesome. Walking up to the guy offering the string beans, hit me up. What are y'all rationing this stuff? Like, hit me up. 2 string beans? Give me that shit. Yeah, you'll have to excuse him. He's just having a really hard time at work. Oh, what's up, little plant? Get the fuck out of my way.
I love Ice Cube as a comedic talent. If you talk about Ice Cube, I love Are We There Yet? Ice Cube is funny. That movie does not have a lot to work with, but Ice Cube is funny. That's why I watch it. And even Are We Done Yet for the house construction one, Ice Cube is funny. Everything else is like, oh, okay. But then when Ice Cube comes on screen, you're like, yes, give me more of that.
Yeah, and like the thing with this character especially, there is not a shred of substance in comparison to any of the characters that I just mentioned. It's really nothing other than him being a complete parody of certain stereotypes and cliches. The way that the Jump Street movies are basically parody anything under the sun. The first movie is action movies, and once in a while the original show, and the sequel is basically a parody of action sequels, which is honestly what makes certain moments a little bit funnier than the first one, a little bit, because like they're super aware of it, especially the end credit sequence where they go through all the sequels and Seth Rogen like briefly replaces Jonah Hill, and then like 5 seconds later Jonah Hill pops up and Channing just goes, Hey, I'm super glad that you came back. What are you talking about, man? Like, what contract dispute? But anyways, embracing the stereotype is literally Ice Cube's motto in this movie. Now I know what y'all thinking. Angry black captain. That ain't nothing but a dumb stereotype. And guess what? I am black. Remember, folks, I'm just reenacting the fucking movie.
Tell that to Ray Fisher.
Okay.
Anyway, my question is,
Hold on.
okay.
I just want to like get the picture of this, where it's just like, well, guess what? I am black, and I work my ass off to be the captain. And sometimes I get angry. So suck it, dick. Embrace this stereotype. Look at Channing Tatum here. He's tall and handsome, and he's probably a dummy. And look at Jonah Hill, short and insecure, and he's probably good with money. Man, you are really good at money. Fuck. But as much as his material is about like confirming certain stereotypes, the other half of his jokes especially work because the jokes are about pointing out that making assumptions of people based on stereotypes is bad. I mean, just the whole point of characters criticizing some while confirming others is just a great way of calling people out in real life on their bullshit with this stuff. One of my favorite examples being when he's briefing the two of them and he just looks through their high school file. Now, Schmidt, since you were a virgin in high school, wait, it says that? No, I just assumed that. It's just, he's so quotable. It doesn't even matter if he's like laugh out loud funny. You instantly remember it. Even when he's not the one telling the joke, his reaction shots make everything. Channing Tatum around the office going, Schmidt fucked the captain's daughter. And it's just like, turns the gun towards him. It's just like, Schmidt fucked the captain's. I don't think that's funny. You know what you should do? You should punch him really hard in the face once. I got something better. Tases him right in the crotch.
I mean, that gives me Lethal Weapon 2 vibes, where where Danny Glover's daughter, Captain Murdoch, is in a condom commercial, and they all like throw condoms at him, and he just looks at Mel Gibson. He's like, I'm going to murder you, and he's like, okay, you know what, guys, let's respect the art. And but I was gonna ask, 21 Jump Street, do you want it to cross over with Men in Black? Did you ever want that? Like, I don't know what that would be like. I don't.
I'm not saying Jump Street can't cross over with something. Hell, can you imagine what would happen if Captain Dixon from Jump Street and Ice-T from Law and Order were related?
Yes!
Over
Yes, I want that!
The stupid humor with the actually intelligent and complicated crime and legal drama. Make a Funny or Die sketch out of that.
Yes!
That would be amazing.
Yes. I would love to see, if they ever make another scary movie, put 21 Jump Street in there as, like, the crime unit that's trying to solve it for, like, a scene or two. Like, but that'd be funny. But imagine if, like, you see them versus, I don't know. I just think it would, like, revive the franchise. I don't know if it should be revived, but, you know. So, but yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing at least one more movie. I'm not entirely sure how they would be able to pull it off. Or, I mean, at the very least, you could have a third movie where, like, they're actually legit detectives, but they kind of miss the undercover.
This is what I want for Scary Movie 6 or whatever we're on now.
No,
I want a parody.
No. What are you doing?
What am I doing? I have an idea. I'm going to pitch you. I want Toni Collette to reprise her role and her daughter to be, I want a parody of Hereditary and Midsommar put together, where Toni Collette and whatever her name is from Midsommar come back, and it's like this mishmash of the two Ari movies put together, but you bring in, you can have the Wayans be like the guys who die in the hut, and they're like, well, should we die in this? Like, you could do that. That would work, I think.
See, when you think of like stuff crossing over, it reminded me of just how much shit John Wick is trying to cross over with.
Oh.
They're trying to cross over with Atomic Blonde. They're trying to cross over with Nobody because nobody's
Nobody.
because nobody's written by the guy that made the John Wick
Oh.
movies, the one who wrote the script. So, I mean, when I found that out, I just sat there. I'm like, okay, that's part of the franchise. And they said, you know what? That'd be great if we could do that. And I'm just sitting there going, well, give it a couple of years for us to reopen up and
Yeah.
really be a reality. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but everyone's telling me that Bob Odenkirk can actually kick ass. And there's an interview with him somewhere where he said he spent 2 years training for the role. Where I just sat there, I'm like, the fucking better have. But imagine if Jump Street like transitioned with John Wick, and they had to go undercover in that kind of underworld.
I like it. I'd watch it. Funny or Die Sketch.
Wants to stick out, so everyone gives them the creepy eyes the same way like John gets all those creepy eyes, except it makes a lot more sense for them because they're the most unconvincing underworld characters ever.
I mean, you could cross over with Bad Boys because Bad Boys for Life was okay, but I feel like with the right characters, it could be fun.
That could be interesting. I like that.
Like you have Channing Tatum and like Will Smith partnered up, and they eventually have to go back with their original partners, but all four of them have to work together. You know, it could be fun.
I was thinking more of like the duos working on each other and then like crossing paths out or something.
I would watch a crossover of 21 Jump Street with pretty much anything. Would it be good? That depends on the property.
Well, when I heard Men in Black, I just sat there and I'm like, this just seems too random.
I don't know about Men in Black. Like, as much as I really enjoy the first two Men in Black, the first one's my favorite. The second one's fun. Men in Black 3 really did nothing for me. It had some moments.
I like it more than 2, if I'm being honest.
I think 2, I like the weird aliens, the weird talking aliens that they have to talk to. I appreciate those moments.
The train locker thing was funny, but other than that,
I just think the franchise belongs in the 90s and early 2000s. I just think it is a timepiece. It's sort of like how I would say, and I hate to say this, but Clerks and Clerks 2 belongs like in the mid-90s in this indie filmmaking. If you didn't grow up with it, you're not going to get it. It's just not something you're going to get. But if you appreciate that, you're going to be like, oh man, I remember this. Like, you're going to get it.
That's fair, yeah.
My number one is possibly the greatest comedic talent of all time, the most underrated comedic talent of all time that no one talks about. Greater than a Leslie Nielsen. Greater than a Peter Sellers. Greater than any comedic talents on here. Because this person carried an entire franchise after the main franchise's death. This person makes the main characters work. And I am talking none other than Herbert Lone as Inspector Dreyfus in the Pink Panther series. Because, and hear me out here, I love Peter Sellers. He is incredibly funny. But without Peter Sellers having someone to play off of, the franchise doesn't work. You need that person, that over-the-top personality that's still grounded somehow. And let me just paint a picture here for you. So, Peter Sellers in the first Pink Panther movie is very, very underrated. He's small, his bits are funny, I like what he does. I think everything he does is brilliant. We have David Niven being David Niven, we have his son doing his son thing, and everyone else in this movie is funny. But Herbert Lone gets very, very little screen time. He gets one scene with Peter Sellers. He spins a globe, and he gets his hand stuck in a globe. And this scene, his simple reaction to Peter Sellers getting his hand stuck in a globe and trying to get it out, and him just losing his mind, and is the start of what we know. We don't get a lot of him in here. Then we get a shot in the dark, where we get to see him come back. And he has to deal with this bumbling detective. And he comes on the scene at the first thing, and he's like, who's in charge? And he's like, Clouseau. And just the way he rolls his eyes, he compliments everything Peter Sellers does and gets none of the praise for it. Because Peter Sellers would still be funny without Herbert Lone. But with Herbert Lone, it's 3 times as funny because his reaction to everything this man does is genius. I mean, if we look at Pink Panther Strikes Again, when he goes to visit in his insane asylum after he tried to kill him in Return of the Pink Panther, the rake sequence does not work without brilliant comedic talents. He's like, how are you? And he's like, I'm great. I've never been better. And he's doing all of this, and he's like Clouseau, and he's choking the fake blow-up Clouseau doll, which is a thing. and this rake hits him in the face, and he's trying to be calm, but his eye starts to twitch because he's got the eye twitch, and it's absolute brilliance in reaction. This franchise works. 1, because of Peter Sellers. 2, because Bert Coach is a great supporting character. 3, because it's silly and funny. But 4, because Herbert Lone is the heart and soul of this. After Peter Sellers died, he's the only redeeming part of the other movies, except for Son of the Pink Panther, where they tried to do a different thing. I would have liked, if he was still alive when the time comes, bring him back with Steve Martin and explain nothing, because I am okay with this. It's sort of like you put Judi Dench in the Daniel Craig ones after Pierce Brosnan. You know, it's just how it is, or Bernard Lee. But the genius this man has, if we take a look at Return of the Pink Panther, Peter Sellers is running around a room, vacuuming up birds, trying to stop from vacuuming up an underwear drawer, a picture comes off, and Dreyfus is across the way with a sniper rifle, trying to snipe in this window, killing this man. But the obliviousness of Peter Sellers, while this is happening, until a shot finally like dings him a little bit, is incredible. And then they all hop up behind the bed, and they cut to a shot of Herbert Lone laughing hysterically and shooting a gun, and he's dragged away to an insane asylum. And then he tries to, literally, there's an entire movie where he says, I will make buildings invisible. I've recruited the world's greatest criminals. All you have to do is kill Clouseau. It's the greatest setup for a Pink Panther movie ever. He's at Oktoberfest. 90 plus people die trying to kill him, and he doesn't even notice. He walks into a closet and he's like, swine closet. I mean, like, it gives us the greatest Pink Panther quote of all time from Peter Sellers. That is perfection. But it's only accented by cutting back to Herbert Lone kidnapping someone's daughter and using nails on a chalkboard to convince him to make this weapon work. He doesn't have guns. He doesn't have power. He doesn't have presence. He doesn't even have villains that will support him. He has nails on a freaking chalkboard. And then Peter Sellers says right before this, no, that is why I've always failed where others have succeeded, because someone asked him if he wanted help. He said no. Then we get revenge. Possibly one of his greatest moments. It just gets better. He's reading the eulogy to his death, and everyone thinks he's crying, but he's laughing because his nemesis is finally dead. And he's like, this genius. It's pitch perfect delivery. Then we get Trail of the Pink Panther and Curse of the Pink Panther. And there are very few redeeming qualities to this, but Herbert Lone. Herbert Lone is in a wheelchair with a cast and a rocket launcher trying to murder someone who looks like Clouseau because it reminds him of him. He puts everything that's not Clouseau in the computer in Curse. He looks at this in Son of the Pink Panther. He falls out of the window on a telephone, and his eye begins to twitch because he's dating Maria Cambrelli, who actually played the princess in the first one, but not Maria Cambrelli in A Shot in the Dark. So it's a little bit confusing there. And when he learns out there's a daughter, he just shakes with like a glass of champagne. Like, it's pitch perfect. It's genius. It's brilliance. The franchise is not the same without this man. Every single Office interaction scene. It's like the Bond interaction scenes in The Office, where you have M and you have Bond. Those are some of the finest moments in the Bond series. And no matter who's playing Bond, whether it's Bernard Lee, maybe it's the Minister of Defense by Robert Gray there, maybe it's Judi Dench as M, or maybe it's Ralph Fiennes playing the current M. Those define the character. Those define the moments. Those are where we get to see character development. We get to see handing over the drink. We get to see the gadgets. We get to see Major Boothrow as Q. But these moments define the Pink Panther. As much as we love the slapstick, or trying to get into the trench, or spilling rice in the apartment, or where a transvestite takes his clothes so they all think Clouseau is dead, or where he's in the club and the undercover singer is doing that little bit. Or it could be anything from the pool car in Return of the Pink Panther, where Christopher Plummer makes, or Christopher, the Canadian one, my brain is blanking, makes a great cameo. But Dreyfus defines Pink Panther. He elevates Pink Panther. He makes Clouseau. He makes the franchise. I'm almost out of breath talking about how much I love everything Herbert Lone has done. This man is the heart and soul of the franchise. Peter Sellers and him should be equals in when you remember the Pink Panther. You should be like, oh, I love the Pink Panther because Herbert Lone and Peter Sellers. Those are the two people that carry this franchise. That's my number one.
I got absolutely nothing to add to that.
I talked a long time on that.
Yeah, you did.
Oh boy, I talked a good 20 minutes on that.
Wait, what? Oh, shit.
I just went on. People are just going to be like, is Tyler still alive? But yes, I love comedies. I cannot...
Right now.
What?
How many of us are still alive right now?
I've been dead for years. People just don't know it.
You and me both.
But I love comedy. I love Pink Panther, and this is, yeah. What's your biggest... my biggest surprise on your list was Donkey. I did not expect you to pick Donkey. I like that pick. I'm very happy you put it on there. I couldn't be happier, but I did not expect you to pick it. I just didn't pick you as a Shrek guy.
Oh, yeah. Like, first two... Shrek is one of the only franchises where I've actually seen every entry in theaters. And, like, the first two, I remember seeing the first one. It was just me and my dad. I was 5. It was some good quality time. Shrek 2, we saw it with the entire family. And the moment I remember in the theater, there's that part where Shrek and Fiona show up as ogres and everyone freaks out. And you can hear the baby crying in the background. Everyone in the theater was looking around, wondering if that was part of the movie or if that, like, and when we saw it again on TV, we're all just like, oh, so that actually happened. So there was that. Shrek 3 and 4, I saw it again with our families, and it really didn't do anything for us. I'm one of the few people who think Shrek the Third was actually better than Shrek Forever After.
I really like Shrek Forever After, but I did not like Shrek 2 and 3. I just for something Shrek 2, that side plot where I wanted to become human, I didn't like it, and the overuse of Funky Town, and it just didn't hit me. But number 4, for some reason, I'm like, I actually like this premise.
The Shrek Forever After, the problem is just not just because of how incredibly similar it was to It's a Wonderful Life.
Well, yeah, it's that.
Which, that's one of my dad's favorite movies that wouldn't have boiled over, but I just didn't really care about Shrek in that one. And it's partly because of the first 20 minutes where he is so ungrateful about the life that he has, a life that, after the ending of the third one would think that he would settle down with it, because it felt like
fair enough.
The whole thing is about him, like, anticipating to become a father, and then at the end, not only is he good at it, but he has a ton of people to help him out. And then in the fourth one, it just completely disappears, even though the circumstance hasn't even remotely changed. So there's that. It was the what if scenarios are just so depressing and unpleasant. I don't want to see Puss in Boots like a fat slob. I mean, it was embarrassing enough seeing him like swap bodies with Donkey, because that was a huge waste of time.
That was weird, but I mean, to be fair, the biggest complaint I've heard from 40-plus-year-old women is Fat Thor is not attractive. No, seriously. Where I volunteered, they're like, I didn't like the third Thor because he was fat and he didn't have muscles. And the one guy's like, but it was funny. And I'm like, this dude, you're a teenager. You don't get it. They like attractive Thor people. I thought Fat Thor was great. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole Fat Thor thing is so complicated that it's not even worth it.
But yeah, no, I understand the problems with Shrek 4, but I thought it was my second favorite in the franchise.
I don't know, like Shrek 2 is my personal favorite, just because there are so many jokes that they throw in there, and the majority of them for me hit bullseye. I like the dynamic that Shrek has, where it's just like, what if I make this sacrifice for something supposedly more normal, and then it turns out she's totally fine and doesn't really care about what other people think. So there's that element to it. I love Jennifer Saunders as the fairy godmother, and the Bonnie Taylor number as they're like parodying Ghostbusters with the giant gingerbread man. That stuff was cool. Rupert Everett for once was tolerable as Prince Charming and was semi-funny.
I mean, I think one of the things that was pretty interesting was the girl team up shot where they made sort of meta commentary on it, and I was like, where all the princesses team up.
Oh, and Shrek the Third, where it's like
Yeah, is that the one? But yeah, they made like full medic commentary on it. I think they were making fun of like Charlie's Angels and stuff like that. But still, I'm like, and then Marvel does it, and I'm like, nah, that was a Shrek thing.
Shrek the Third, the only part I really remember is when like Shrek's handcuffed to the stage as Charming's about to kill him, and he's still going along with the play. You're about to enter a world of pain for which you are not familiar. Well, it can't be any more painful than the lousy performance you're giving, and since the audience reacts, he keeps going. Prepare, foul beast, your time is up. Oh, if you don't mind, could you kill me and then sing? Be quiet. Oh, come on, I'm just having fun with you. That actually is a nice leotard. Oh, thank you. Did they come in men's sizes?
That's fair. Yeah, I like. Was there any surprises on my list that you were like, I was not expecting that, or was this like, no, this is Josh's list, 100%?
Well, when you said greatest comedic talent, I thought you were going to say Robin Williams until you said underrated, and I just sat there. I'm like, okay, now this is going somewhere.
Robin Williams is a wonderful comedic talent. I'm not taking anything away from him.
Yeah, and like in the same subject, there were a couple honorable mentions that I thought of now at the last second.
Yeah, what are they? Please, this is our show. We can do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when you said Robin Williams, I thought of Mrs. Doubtfire, and my favorite scene is when Harvey Fierstein and his boyfriend are making him up as basically whatever woman they can. And what I didn't realize, because I've only seen Mrs. Doubtfire like from beginning to end once, I didn't realize that they characters when Robin gets divorced and he like stays with his brother and the boyfriend, and there's that whole conversation. Firestein's talking with his mom over the phone, but he's also getting mad at his boyfriend. Hey, watch the man.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be how would you know, bitch? I am your mother. I'm not talking to you, Ma. I was talking to the dog. And Robin Williams just goes, that stuff's funny. Like,
It is, yes.
Cameo, but
I give it to Pierce Brosnan too. It's probably his most comedic role of anything he's ever done. He's funnier than anything in it.
Looking back on it, I don't remember him really being that funny. I remember him being like the romantic rival, but he's weirdly enough, the script actually makes him out to be a nice guy who just so happens to be moving in on a woman maybe a little too soon. But that's really the only flaw, other than the fact that he, even though he never met Robin's character, like instantly thinks of him as a loser just because of how much anger Sally Field has towards him. So like, Mrs. Doubtfire is a lot more complicated.
Well, let's be honest. If it was the 90s and you were dating and Pierce Brosnan was available, you'd think about it. He was bought.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Like, the reason I didn't put Uncle Frank and Aunt Jack, because that joke always gets me every time. Dad did this to you, Uncle Frank and Aunt Jack. Oh. The way they said that just felt so weird. The only reason I didn't put them on the list was because I didn't think they were really in it enough to make that big of an impression. They obviously make an impression, because when Robin has like the nose and he's pretending to be Jewish and he's just like, no, this isn't working. Yeah, this is a work in progress, but don't worry, you're my brother and I will not make sure you're embarrassed. But look at this nice thing we have here. Matchmaker, make me a match. The breakout into song, and it's just so fucking stupid. And then, of course, next cutaway, he's like dressed as Streisand and trying to sing Funny Girl.
Funny Girl is another piece of thing. I will say Benedict Wong from Doctor Strange is very funny because he doesn't know what Beyonce is. That's a funny gag. I almost put him on there, but it's only like one gag. The Wi-Fi password thing is pretty good too. Like that was probably the best part of Doctor Strange for me, because Doctor Strange did not hit. I like it. I like the finale, but it did not hit for me. But Benedict Wong never listening to Beyonce and him stealing books to the music, and the Wi-Fi password is pretty great.
That's true. I almost forgot about that.
He's really funny in that, and even in like all the other Avengers movies, he's just fun. He was
funny in David Copperfield too, like that.
Oh, fair, yes.
In the background.
I didn't mind the David Copperfield movie. I mean, I enjoyed it. I haven't really thought about it since.
I didn't mind it. I just thought it was like super rushed, and honestly, Hugh Laurie was more interesting than half the characters because Hugh Laurie was fucking great in that.
Hugh Laurie is so funny, whether he's House or he's doing anything British. Literally, that man is funny. He's a funny guy.
And like, I can't talk about personal history of David Copperfield without talking about Tilda Swinton, like shoving people off their donkeys.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was my first movie at 2019 TIFF, and like the crowd just lost it at her half the time. They were really eating her up.
Oh yeah, Tilda Swinton is great. I mean, Tilda Swinton as the White Queen in Chronicles of Narnia is probably her greatest role. But everything she does, she has a style, a finesse. When she played Bob Dylan and I'm Not There, phenomenal for her little bit. Everyone did.
That was Cate Blanchett.
That was Cate Blanchett. I'm getting them confused.
But like same thing applies to her on that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the last one I'm going to throw out there is one of my favorite rom-coms ever. My second favorite rom-com. No one has actually seen this movie. Mickey Blue Eyes. Have you seen Mickey Blue Eyes? So it's Hugh Grant and Jane Tripleton play this couple, and James Caan is the father-in-law, but they're all involved with the mafia. So it's like this mafia rom-com thing. But Hugh Grant is trying to propose to Jean in a restaurant, and he wants to put the proposal in the fortune cookie at a Chinese restaurant. And she doesn't like fortune cookies. And they finish up the meal, he gives her some cash, he gives her a tip, and he gives her the fortune cookie. And the waitress 100% knows. This waitress, I don't know who the waitress is, but this is hilarious, because I always forget her name. So she doesn't want to eat, she's like, eat the fortune cookie. And they're like, no, please open the fortune cookie. And she's like, but I don't like fortune cookies. I don't believe in fortunes. And the waitress just looks at her. She's like, eat the fucking fortune cookie. And then from 2 tables away, someone's like, they open the fortune cookie and there's this couple there. She's like, yes, I'll marry you. He's like, no. And he has to run over and jump over a couple tables. He's like, sorry, that's not for you. And she's like, it's so good.
Wow.
You seriously have to see Mickey Blue Eyes. It's phenomenal.
You know what? I might have to now.
It's sort of like a mafia, My Big Fat Greek Wedding style, awkward Italian mobster movie. It's really funny, but just eat the fucking fortune cookie makes you laugh every time. Because this waitress is so calm. No, please open it. Eat the fucking We have a lot of fun on this show, don't we, Tyler?
Oh my god.
For you guys out there, check out Tyler Wolf's channel with 2 F's for fucking fantastic. He's got a 420 review of Cats, and not the Andrew Lloyd Webber one, which people like. The one with no buttholes, and Jason Derulo, and other things. And Tyler has a lot of words to say that I'm not going to spoil here, because that would defeat the point of his review. Go watch it. It's phenomenal. I watched this last night before we recorded this, and sat there and I'd be like, I'm glad I missed this movie. That was my main thought. I was like, I am so glad. I don't like terrible musicals, and not that the music's bad, but if you have bad singing and dancing, I don't stare if you're afraid to stare. If you can't sing and dance in your movie, don't do it. That's all I'm saying.
Like I said, there was good dancing when you can see it, and there were 3 or 4 songs where you actually could enjoy what was going on. There's one review that I haven't read, but the title sums it up, where it just goes, once you get over the abomination, Cats is decent. And I just sat there, I'm like, yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
It's going to be a cult classic for sure. So,
if Princess has monthly screenings of that, I am totally showing up.
We almost did it, but COVID happened.
Yeah, I know. A friend of mine almost talked me into going to the Apollo to see it, but I wasn't that sold on it yet. Here's the thing. I said this in my review, and I'm going to say it now. When I saw the trailer and everyone freaked out about the effects, I just sat there and I went, if you go, like I said, go back and look at the Andrew Lloyd Webber one. Look at pictures of any Broadway show. There are some cats that look fine, and some cats that just look fucking ridiculous. That's just the nature of the beast. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't change the fact that Tom Hooper forgot everything he learned from Les Mis and just started from scratch. And the most embarrassing thing is it's co-written by the guy who wrote the Billy Elliot movie, wrote the Billy Elliot stage show, and wrote Rocket Man with Taron Egerton. I'm just like, bitch, you're all talented. Like, what the fuck happened? Other than the fact that you completely rushed it, which I've talked about already, but...
Fair enough. Also, check out all our shows on Really Bad TV. We've got Reacts. We've got Suits and Cinema. This week, we're discussing this week's coming up on Monday. You'll be able to see... Sunday. Coming up Sunday. That's 2 days from now. We will be able to talk about From Russia with Love, and the following week, Goldfinger. We got those in the can for you there. We've got the improv show every Monday night. Tyler, maybe make an appearance, maybe not. It all depends on the night. Hopefully he can come along and go to Jeopardy, where I know all the questions. If you haven't checked out our last episode, Jeopardy was very unfair. Check out all our stuff. We've got shorts coming out. I'm going to be releasing some classic shorts. And as always, just be great people, be happy, laugh a lot, and I don't know. Tyler, say something awesome. I rambled there.
Where the fuck do I start on this one?
And that's the show, folks. Thanks for coming out.
I'm not gonna leave people on that one. Don't be a dick. Okay. 'Cause I'm all alone. There's no one. My problems have all gone. There's too much to. I don't know the rest. But friends, stop singing. It's no wonder you don't have any friends. Wow. Only a true friend would be that brutally honest.
That's how we end the show.